consequences of politics and ideology that dehumanizes gays and lesbians. And, you know, you could also draw a really straight line from all this stuff to the Bush administration's abstinence-only education policy, which puts into schools curriculum that either doesn't mention the fact that gay and lesbians exist at all, or when it does, compares homosexuality to bestiality or incest. This is millions and millions of dollars over the last 9-10 years going into this kind of curriculum. So this is what people are actually taught in schools. Is it really any surprise then that there should be a rash of bullying and suicides as a result of this?
Talk about what happened in Rutgers, also right nearby in New Jersey.
So there was a student there, Tyler Clementi. He was just 18, a violinist. It was the beginning of his freshman year. He had had a sexual encounter with a man which was broadcast by his roommate without his knowledge, obviously, online. And then a few days later... And
just to explain, he had asked his roommate if he could have the room alone until midnight or something.
Right, and the roommate had put out a tweet saying it's happening again, and went to a neighbor's room, Molly Wee, and two of them together broadcast it online.
They had turned on the webcam in the room unbeknownst to Tyler.
Exactly. And this is not the first time they had done this. In fact, this is the second time they had broadcast it. So Tyler then, a few days later, jumped off the George Washington Bridge. And it's a horrific, awful tragedy. What I find somewhat disturbing as a result of this is that the attention has been so much on the punishment of the two Rutgers students, who undoubtedly contributed to an awful act, are immature, prurient, and deserve some punishment for invasion of privacy at the least. I'm not so clear that they did this just out of anti-gay bias, and I don't want to also lump them into the teens that attacked the people in the Bronx. I think we're looking at very different crimes, and we're looking at very different places where we can make interventions.
But the general problem, obviously, is still that America has not come to grips, especially in whether it's among teens or adults like Carl Palladino, with its deep-seated anti-gay bias that continues to affect so much of the public discourse on this issue.
Yeah, you know, you're seeing people come out a lot earlier. This is very new in the last 5 or 6 years, and you're seeing them come out not when they move to New York or San Francisco, but in Oklahoma, in Michigan, in the Bronx. And, you know, it's challenging America, I think, to really look at teenagers differently, to look at sexuality differently, to look at gay and lesbian identity differently. It's difficult for parents and teachers to do this. We need to have a real national conversation about that, and then to put into place education policies that are about comprehensive sex education.
You at the same time have this controversy with the South Carolina Senator DeMint, who reiterated a statement he made back in 2004. So this is not reviving a controversy by someone who wants to take him on in his senatorial race. But it's saying that gay men and lesbians, saying that single women should not be teaching in the schools. And he brought it up and said he agrees with what he said then.
Right. And, you know, DeMint is not the only one. You have Marco Rubio in Florida, who supports a ban on gay adoptions.
Who's ahead in the Florida race.
Who's comfortably ahead now. Charlie Crist used to support that ban, and then he sort of tacked to the center. You have Sharon Angle, who also supports a ban on gay adoptions. Kelly Ayotte in New Hampshire, who's running for Senate, supports a ban on gay adoptions. So you really have a policy in place across the Republican Party, but especially in the Tea Party, that says we don't want gays and lesbians raising children. We don't want gays and lesbians teaching children. And the real message here is actually not so much at gay and lesbian adults, but it's at gay and lesbian kids who might find comfort and nurturing from these adults. And the message is, please don't exist. That is the message that these people are sending.
You know, I was watching after the attack, after Tyler committed suicide. Rutgers had a speak out where all the administration was there, and one young person after another described what it meant to be gay on campus or to grow up and be harassed. What should schools do? I mean, the numbers for young gay men and lesbians growing up is staggering, how many say that they were harassed, and gay men and lesbians who are grown up.
Well, I first want to say it can't just be schools. It has to be parents. A lot of this starts at home. Parents of gay and lesbian children, but also parents of children who aren't gay and lesbian and who engage in the bullying. What schools can do, there's two sort of tracks. One is to put in place, and some states like Massachusetts have done this, anti-bullying laws, which require teachers to report incidents of bullying, to have trainings about that. I think that's fine. But before that even, we need comprehensive sex education in this country that teaches children that gay and lesbian and transgender people exist, that they're part of the spectrum of human sexuality. And we are so far, Amy and Juan, from approaching that, in part because of the years we spent going backwards on sex education rather than forwards.
Well, Richard Kim, we want to thank you very much for being with us. Richard Kim is senior editor at The Nation magazine. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We'll be back in a minute.